Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of the Victorian Studio podcast. My name is Maureen, and I'm coming to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, on Monday, August the 10th, 2015. Well, this has been a week of milestones and overcoming obstacles or solving problems. First, the milestones. I noticed just recently I have 300 subscribers on YouTube with over 5,000 views. That's just awesome. I can't believe that. We also have nearly 100 members in the Ravelry group. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the people who have subscribed, who have joined the group, who have left comments, started and participated in threads on the group, sent me personal messages, friend requests. Every single one of them is so appreciated and so wonderful. Thank you very much for taking the time to do that, to communicate and participate. It really means a lot to me, so I really do thank you very, very much. For solving problems, this week I have a variety of both finished projects and works in progress, and some went very smoothly and some I hit snags with. So I'm hoping that maybe some of my potential solutions to some of those obstacles will help somebody else out there. First, I wanted to mention that I finished my Hermione's Everyday Socks, and those were living in my Homespun House bag by Molly. And obviously they don't fit in there anymore because I've got them on my homemade sock blockers. And I am just thrilled to have these done. I started these in late June, so for me I think this is the fastest I've ever knit a pair of socks. And it's no wonder why. The Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern is so easy to do. It's just a 4-row repeat. Potato chip knitting, as it's called. It's easy to do while watching podcasts or videos or TV. So yeah, it was a really quick knit. The only thing I changed on my version is a 2x2 rib at the top. But otherwise followed the directions as Erica Luder had written and did the Eye of Partridge heel. I just love that, the texture that it creates. And they're so comfy. I haven't worn them around the house yet. I wanted to show them to you first before I put them on my feet. So yeah, I'm really thrilled with the way they turned out. What I used for the yarn, if you're new, is the Misty Alpaca in the Blues in the Night colorway. And this is 50% alpaca, 30% merino, 10% silk, and 10% nylon. So it's a really good sock yarn, and I know a lot of people have used the Misty Alpaca, and I'm sure I'll use another colorway soon. And I have about 27 grams left, so I think this will make maybe a good Bluebird of Happiness. It is blue after all, or some other project. I'm sure I can get more than one thing out of what's remaining on the ball. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have that project done. So on to the next thing that I wanted to share with you. The next few items are all works in progress. So first I wanted to share the Old Flames scarf by Chris Basta. That's a pattern that I chose to use my hand spun yarn with. I spun up this yarn for the Tour de Fleece this year, and this is what I made. When I put it in the balls, I had it on 2 different cops on my Turkish spindle, so I just kept them separate. I'm going to keep knitting this project until I'm all done, so I'm about almost halfway completed. The fiber I use to spin is the Malabrigo Nube in the red Cerise colorway. Show you that there. Now I chose this because I specifically wanted to create something for Talia and Marlisha's Pen Hook and Needles Cardiac Read Along. So they are doing a knit and crochet along that runs until September 30th. So I knew I wanted to spin up the fiber during Tour de Fleece, and I got that completed on time. And then use the subsequent yarn for this knit along. So the Old Flames scarf is a free pattern on Ravelry. Just pull it out here. It doesn't have a picture on it, but it recommends US 10 circular needles. I'm using 9s, don't have 10s, so I think this is close enough. Because my yarn ended up being about a worsted weight, it's very thick and thin, so I'll say on average a worsted weight is another reason why I chose that pattern, because that's the weight of yarn that it calls for. And I was concerned with the thick and thinness of my spinning that the yarn overs that make the lace portion of this scarf, that I might encounter some areas that maybe the yarn was too thin, but so far it's been knitting up just beautifully. This is what I've got completed so far, and as I say, I'm about 50% done, I guess. I'll see how far I go. Just play it by ear. You can basically just keep knitting and knitting until you think it's big enough. It obviously will block out to be larger, and it will show that lace pattern more, but the Old Flames, kind of the diagonal design and texture of this is really very interesting, and each one of these points will be blocked out as well, so it'll be great once I'll be able to finish that and get it all blocked. So yeah, I'm really thrilled with how my own hand spun yarn is working out, so I'm glad I chose that pattern to do that in. Okay, so the next thing that I was working on was one of my obstacles that I had this week. It was my Multnomah shawl, and that's by Kate Ray. And oh, it's living in a brand new bag that I got last week. Sweet Deb at Fondant Fibre, I finally caught an update of hers that I was able to snag a bag, but not just one bag, but two. She had two sizes of this delightful cat material. So there's the larger bag with the brown bottom, and then this, it's probably a sock bag because it does have a box bottom on it as well, but right now I'm using it as a notions bag inside the other one, but it's a great size for socks as well, so I know I can use it for both. And both of her bags came with little cute little paw zipper pulls. So this is the Multnomah shawl, and it also is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's a great easy pattern to do. It's a lot of garter stitch, and the yarn I'm using for this is FON dyes, just because my pretty face turned your head colorway, and that's a Doctor Who reference. It's 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon, and I just love the greens and grays in this yarn. So as I mentioned, this is mostly garter stitch with a few yarn overs in the center for a spine. So I've completed all the garter stitch, and I'm at the point where I'll be starting the feather and fan. And I've been taking this to work on during lunch hours, because the garter stitch is really simple. All you're doing is adding on at each end to make it longer and longer as you go. But what I realized a few rows back, while I was working on it one day at work, was that I had dropped a stitch. And of course I hadn't had it in this bag. I didn't have the Notions bag with me because it was living in another bag at the time. I had just thrown it in one of my others and taken it to work. So I didn't have any crochet hook or anything that I could fix the drop stitch with. So sitting at my desk, I decided to MacGyver my own crochet hook out of a paper clip. And it worked. It was a bit of a pain. It took me a long time to do because unfortunately I didn't notice that I had dropped the stitch until I was about 10 or more rows past it. So here I was using this paper clip and doing it back and forth and checking out YouTube to make sure I was doing it right. But yeah, paper clips don't really, I mean it worked, but not great. So that made me think of a solution for that problem that I had. All of my bags, or not all of them, most of my bags, I try to have a Notions bag for now. So what I thought I would do is for the bags that I didn't have Notions already in them, there was only a couple that I did, I thought what I would do is just pull out all my Notions bags, made sure I had one for every knitting bag that I have in my stash now, and organize them. So I'll just show you a picture here of what I did. This was, I think, Friday night. My OCD getting the better of me, of my organizing project that I did that night. So what I did was I got out all the Notions bags. I even had purchased some bags at Walmart to serve as Notions bags. And I love back to school time. I found, because I needed to get a few more pairs of scissors and things like that, I just hit Walmart. And back to school, of course, they have school supplies and these cute little pencil case holders. I guess they're like for binders, for the kids to put in binders. So I picked up a few of these adorable fox pencil cases, and I'm using them in some of my knitting bags that don't have official Notions bags in them. And it works just great. And for $4, can't be beat. So they're plenty big enough to hold everything that I need and throw in my knitting bags. So now I'm not going to be caught at work or anywhere else without everything that I should carry with me when I bring my knitting along somewhere else besides my studio to work. It doesn't matter now which bag I grab, all my Notions are there with me. So in each bag I try to put scissors, a small crochet hook, a darning needle with some spare yarn, stitch markers, safety pin holds the stitch markers, writing pad, post-it notes. I like the post-it arrows too, so I can kind of sticky them on a pattern to indicate where I am. A few highlighters in each Notions bag as well. Measuring tape, a tape measure, emery board, and many knitters put emery boards in their knitting bags because if you get a snag, it's nothing worse than trying to knit with a snag or broken nail. So it's always nice to have an emery board just to smooth those out while you're knitting. So I don't know if there's anything else that you put in your Notions bags. Maybe you could share them in the Ravelry group with us. It'd be interesting to see what people have as their go-to kits in each bag, and maybe you'll give us all some ideas of some other things that we can add to our knitting bags. So now that I've got a Notions bag for every bag that a project is in, I don't have to worry about MacGyvering using a safety clip or a paper clip anymore. So the Multnomah shawl, even though I had that little bit of a problem with, it's about half done, I would say. But I'm glad to say that once I picked up those stitches, I can't even see where they were, so I guess I did it right. So I'm really pleased with that shawl. So it's a scarf and a shawl done so far. Let's see, the next thing I was working on this week was also something I had a bit of a snafu with. That was my Roosevelt cardigan. And that is by Amanda, now I'm going to mispronounce her last name, I'm sure, Schusker. I will put her name on here. And this is Living in My Silver Shed Bag by Anne Brodie. And this bag is wonderful, nice and big to hold a cardigan. She did make me a little notions bag for that. But I previously had shown this project a few weeks ago. I had started on the first sleeve, and it has a lot of cables in this pattern. And I am using some yarn that I previously had frogged from another cardigan I had attempted to start last year and frogged. So this is the Wensleydale Sheep Shop Long Wool, and it's in a beautiful teal color. And I really love this. It's pure wool, and it's not too scratchy. I mean, it's not the softest, but I'm not that sensitive to wool. So I really wanted to make a sweater out of this because I have 10 balls of this that I got on a D-stash through a Ravelry member. So as I mentioned, I had started on the first sleeve and got the first few rounds of cables completed, and then I realized that I had screwed up somewhere. I had 2 extra stitches that I picked up somewhere, and I had done a wrong row. So on, I think it was Friday, I pulled it all out and started over again. So that was my bit of a snafu with this. At first I tried just, knitting back or tinking the couple of rows to go back, but because it's a cable with 3 stitches over 3, oh, it was such a pain to figure out where the stitches were, being, not an experienced knitter. I'm still learning to read my knitting, so it's just easier for me just to tear the whole thing out and start over. So I'm pleased that I'm beyond the part where I had frogged it before. So I'm making progress up the sleeve, and what I love about this pattern is that it has full cable sections, I think about 3 rounds full, but then they start to decrease the cables, so it kind of runs up at an angle on your arm on the sleeves, and then the rest is stockinette. So this is my progress so far, and now it's going better. And the solution to this problem was using a lot more stitch markers. It has a whole bunch of cable sections, so what I did was, when I was working on it further below, between every pattern repeat, I placed a stitch marker, so I knew that I wouldn't be picking up extra stitches and making sure that they all lined up properly. As I got up farther in the pattern, I've taken out the stitch markers as it switched from a cable to the straight stockinette, so I only have one left. One cable is left for a couple of more rounds, I believe, and then it will be running up the arm, mostly stockinette, but I believe there's a cable running up. Maybe I guess it's this cable, the single cable will continue to run up the outside of the arm. So So that was my solution, was not to try to guess where I was, to actually use the stitch markers, and it really worked perfectly. So I'm thrilled with how it's coming out so far. So that was my other little obstacle to overcome this week. So this is the first cardigan. I've never tried a sweater or any other large item before, so it really is something I really want to tackle, but I'm taking it slowly, and I'm thinking that I may enter this in Sarah at Fiber Trek's Cal that's coming up. She announced on her latest episode in her podcast that she wants to do a what she calls an epic Cal, and she was referring it to Shackleton. He is the fellow that had the South Pole adventure, and it was an epic journey for him. And so she was kind of comparing how we could have epic projects, things that we find very challenging, no matter what that is, and participate in this knit along. So I think I'm going to find this very challenging. I've just started on the first sleeve. I have yet to think about how I'm going to tackle the actual body of the cardigan. So I hope I can do it, and as I mentioned, I'll probably enter that knit along with this cardigan, and it will help me continue and not give up on it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working more on that. So let's see. All right, the project that I started this week, because I finished my Hermione's Everyday Socks, I just had to have another pair of socks on the needles, but I'm doing something different. I mentioned a few episodes ago that Lena at A Wee Bit Knitty had mentioned that Knit Picks had returned with some of their most popular yarn called Felici. And thank you again, Lena, for mentioning that, because I did go over to Knit Picks and order some, and I finally started to use the first few skeins, or balls of these. And I'm saying a plural because not only am I doing one sock, but I'm doing my very first 2 at a time socks. So these I am doing a little bit on one and then a little bit on the other. So hopefully that will alleviate any second sock syndrome that I might get. So it's very interesting, and it's actually going along very quickly. I'm very surprised. So what I did was, using this gummy bear colorway of the Felici from Knit Picks, I got 2 balls of this because they're just 50-gram balls each. So I knew that one wouldn't be enough for 1 pair of socks. So I have 1 for each. And the first thing I did to make sure that they will match as close as possible is I pulled out some of the yarn from each ball and made sure that the color transitions were at the same point, and then cut off one length of yarn that didn't match, so that I started in exactly the same place for both socks. So I think it's working out so far. I'm working top down, as I usually do. I've never tried toe-up socks yet, but I'm just doing my vanilla sock pattern. It's my own pattern that after doing a few socks I've realized or figured out fits me the best. So again, 2x2 ribbing, and it's going to be plain stockinette, and I'll probably do the Hermione's Everyday Socks Eye of Partridge heel because I really like the look of that. I have the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern, but I have yet to try it out, so that's something that I'll maybe try with my next pair of socks. So for now, the accomplishment that I've got so far is that they're pretty matchy, and so far it's been really fun to make them 2 at a time. So yeah, so I'm really happy that I got this Felicia yarn. It's so soft, really great to work with, and I may or may not have ordered some more. I noticed when I went back to Knit Picks that some of the colorways are now sold out and there's low stock in the others. So I did get it in a few other colorways I've shown previously, but I did go back and order some more of the Highland. That's the green colorway, because I think what I'm going to do is make maybe a shawl or something else out of it. They don't all have to be socks. So I wanted to make sure that I snagged those before that colorway was sold out as well. So that's a lot of fun, and those are living in my Kikiboo bag by Denise at the Knitting Den. And this is one of the bags that has another one of my Fox bags, Notions bags in. So all set to go, all prepared for any eventuality that I may want to throw my socks in the car or work on them somewhere else. So yeah, so that I guess is pretty much what I've been working on this week. If you notice, I brought my little fox to join us again today because I wanted to remind anybody that hasn't so far, if you're a member of my group, I put up a thread there to help me name this little guy, and so far there's been wonderful suggestions in there. So you have until midnight Sunday to enter that. That will be August the 16th. And next Monday, the 17th, I'll draw a name using the random.org generator to generate a winner for a $10 or less US pattern through Ravelry. So you must be a member of the group and just put in a suggestion what you think would be a good name for this fellow. I may or may not use it. There are some in there that are wonderful, though. I may just pick one. And thank you very much for everybody who's done that so far. So, and some other exciting news that I can say now that Marlisha and Talia have announced it. I am going to be co-hosting the Toy Along this fall with Pen, Hook and Needles and the Bakery Bears. So I couldn't be more thrilled. I really enjoyed participating in the Toy Along last year. And now that I have my own podcast, I really wanted to participate as a co-host. So if you're a member of my group, you can double or triple dip all of the groups, and I'm gathering up some prizes for giveaway for that. And I also already have figured out what I'm going to make for that knit along. I have a few ideas already. But one of the nice things that I'm able to also announce is when Deb at Fondant Fibre was so kind enough to send me some of her fiber for the podcast and also some of her wonderful Knitter's soap. These are going to be the first prizes that are going to be given away for that Toy Along. So that begins in October, and I'll be talking more about that as it gets closer, but I just wanted to announce that I am just so thrilled and honored to be a part of this toy knit along in the fall with Pen, Hook and Needles and the Bakery Bears. It's going to be so much fun. So looking forward to that. So I think that's it for this week. What I thought I would pop in at the end here is a short little video I took. Like everybody else, the weather has been just wild around here, and we've had tornadoes and hot, muggy weather, and this past week we even had a fair hailstorm and actually funnel clouds were spotted during this storm. Luckily not by me. When I got back in the house, I had the radio on in my craft room here, and I heard this funniest kind of computerized voice, and it was actually the emergency services. I've never heard that announcement before, and it's almost robotic, like it was very strange, but they were talking about how funnel clouds had been spotted and that kind of thing. And luckily it had passed the area that we were in, so we were all safe. But meanwhile, here I am out there with my iPhone capturing the a video of the hail coming down. We had up to about a quarter-sized hail, some smaller, but the biggest ones were probably about the size of a quarter, which were darn big enough, especially when you're standing out there filming and getting pelted. Poor hubby was coming out of the grocery store as the hailstorm hit, and he had bought some ice cream, and it was so funny. Once he got home, he was just drenched, soaked, even just like the few seconds it took him from running from the car or from the grocery store to the car. He was just pelted, and here on top of the ice cream was hailstones sitting, because the ice cream, I guess, was keeping them cold. By the time he got home, there the hailstones still were in the grocery bag. So I thought I would just insert a short video that I had done. I had posted it previously on Instagram, just a portion of it, but I thought I would share that with you. So hopefully the weather will quieten down a bit and start to cool off a bit. I'm looking forward to fall and wearing some of these knitted items that I've been making. But until then, I hope you all have a good week, and don't forget to enter the naming of the fox thread, and if you have any questions or any comments about the podcast, please feel free to contact me. So thank you very much for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed your time, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.